Hi, and welcome to Craft Along with Jay. I am so happy you could join me today. Today I have three home decor DIYs for you. Project number one, I had this galvanized like milk jug container thing from Dollar General. I've had it for a couple of years now. I got some vintage white paint and some rub-on transfers and some um, ribbon. The first thing I do, I just sponge on, kind of dab around the paint and I give it two coats. And once that's dry, I take some elephant paint and I kind of go with a very fine paintbrush around the edges just to kind of age it some, give it some character. More like farmhousey style. Trying to say that once. And I kind of go around the top and the handle, so whatever there's kind of some raised areas on the jug. I kind of just work my way down. And it's not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect because it needs to look worn. And there it is. Looks very rustic on the inside, huh? Then I got some rub-on transfers that I got from the Dollar Tree. I really like this one, but you'll see it doesn't really work out well for me. Not sure what went wrong. But here, I lay it on, kind of center it, and then with my nails, start rubbing it. And that didn't quite seem to work. Then I get my Cricut tool and start rubbing some more. But I was having a really hard time with it. I'm not quite sure um, what the problem was. I've never had problems with Dollar Tree rub-on transfers before. I just did this time. And I keep checking and it's not really releasing well. So here you see with my Cricut tool, just rubbing, 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 rubbing. And it's just not working. I even try with the little pick, try to get it off to sheeting down onto my jug. I work on it for quite a while, but you'll see what it looks like here in a minute. It's not a pretty sight, but you live and learn. It doesn't come out right every time. See, something is not right. I'm not sure what. So we're gonna cover that up with some paint again, and we'll try again, just with a different rub-on transfer. I was a little bit bummed because I really liked this one. So we just cover it up and let it dry completely, and then we'll try again. So I have this other transfer that I really liked as well, and it looks kind of farmhousey and rustic and like kind of perfect for the look that I was going for. And oh, and what I've done here after I painted it, it dried, I did give it a coat of Mod Podge, thinking maybe that would help because the other one did pull up some paint. So here I had some Mod Podge on it and let it dry, and then trying again to see if that makes a difference. So I'm using my Cricut tool again, and I'm just rubbing, 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 hoping for the best. Kind of lift it a little bit and kind of look, and it hasn't quite released yet, and then we just put it down and rub some more. And here now it's finally starting to release. So now I work in sections. So I kind of move more towards the middle, and then I'll pull it up some more, and then making sure everything is coming off, and then I kind of move further around till it's all all transferred. Yes, I'm not sure what happened with the first one, but I did use Mod Podge this time, and that seemed to do the trick for this time. But there it is. Looks really good. And then I just took some dahlias and some lamb's ear. Both of them are from, no, the lamb's ear from the Dollar Tree. No, wait a minute. Let me think. The dahlias are from the Dollar Tree, and the lamb's ear from Walmart. Yep, there we go. I've gotten dahlias from both places before, so I had to kind of think why I got these. But the ones I'm using here from the Dollar Tree. And that's kind of what it looks like. And I do decide to put on that ribbon. I was kind of going back and forth on it, but you'll see in the final view that I kind of put a ribbon around it. Okay, here for project number 2, I have some fabric, same kind, different colors, some twine, and then I got the little flower wooden cutout. And I'm just using that as a template to cut out. I'm cutting out 4 pieces of each fabric, and I'm just kind of figuring out the placement, what I want on them. Flowers, some greenery, butterflies, so they're not all the same, if that makes sense. So here I'm just tracing it out with a pencil. So I'm tracing out 4 on each, and then I'll cut them out. Yeah, here I'm looking at the pattern, kind of figuring out where I want it to lay. And then I'm just using some fabric scissors and cutting them out. And here they are. I cut out 6, 3 different colors, 2 of each. And here you're going to lay down the 2 back sides together so they're essentially on the inside, if that makes sense. And then you have the 2 right sides facing outwards. And then I'm just using some hot glue, going around the edges, and then gluing them together all the way around. You do want to leave one of the petals open so you can get some polyfill in and a little hanging loop. That's what the twine is for. So here I'm just gonna go around and glue the edges down. I really like this fabric. I got that from Walmart. Kind of struggling with the strings from the hot glue. Just sticks to everything. And here I just start filling it with some polyfill. Kind of use the pencil to kind of get it stuffed in there. So you want to push it out into each petal, but don't push too hard or you're going to end up ripping it back open. So just gently pushing it in there. And then you kind of finish gluing around. Just leave a small opening when you get to the end. So you got to make a little hanging loop with the twine. And then we'll glue that in there. You'll see here in a minute. There we go. I got just cut a piece and I looped it and then I'm tying a knot at the end. And then I kind of stuff it in that little opening that I have. Just attach it with some hot glue. And then I'll finish gluing the seams together. Yep, just like that. Almost like that. Guess I was having some problems keeping the polyfill in. But yeah, just finishing up gluing the edge and pressing it together. And that's it for this one. And then I'm going to repeat the same process for the other 5 flowers. Yeah, you want to make sure it's nice and tight around that, not on the twine so it doesn't come off when you hang it. But there it is. Super cute. What do you think? And here they all are. Made one flower with each color, and then I did some greenery and butterflies with the other ones. All right, project number 3. I've had this for a while in my stash, never used it. Got that from the Dollar Tree. But I'm going to paint it with a coat of white chalk paint, except for the very bottom. It's not painted right now, and I'm going to leave it plain just because nobody will see it. It's going to sit on that side. But I end up giving it 2 coats of white chalk paint on all sides except for the bottom. Then once that's all dry, it takes a Mod Podge, and I just cover the side that's up right now, and then the sides that's towards you, and then the side that's towards me. So it's just those 3 sides. We'll get a coat of Mod Podge. And then once I've gotten that completed, then we'll sit and let it dry completely before we move on to the next step. You see how the bottom is kind of plain? I left it like that. But if you want to, you can go ahead and paint it. I'm just going to have it sitting on that side anyway, so it doesn't bother me. And then we'll do the other side. And it dries fairly quickly. You don't have to wait very long for it to dry. Then while that's drying, I'm going to get my napkin ready. I got this at the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut it in half. And it has 2 plies, so I'm going to separate them because I'm just going to use the top ply. The second ply is just plain white. We don't need that for anything. Having a little trouble separating them, but my Cricut tool was a big help. So that's what I'm going to use. Then I'm just taking a fine tip brush and some water, and I'm going to trace around where I'm going to um, kind of rip the napkin just to get some rough edges. I don't want any clean cut. So I just kind of go around all the way across. So for if you want to redo this, you may want to start ripping it before you make it all the way to the end, because some of it has already started drying when I started. Then I kind of had to do it in sections, kind of use my brush again and then rip it as I went along. So just save yourself a step and just do small sections and not the whole thing. So I just kind of go all the way across like that, following the water pattern. So this is what I have, and that's what we're going to use for the little book stack. So I'm going to lay it around where we put the Mod Podge. That is dry now, and I'll lay it down and put some parchment paper on top. And no, I will not be using my big old iron. I actually got myself a little mini heat press, and I'm so super excited to use it. It's my first time using it, and I'm so thrilled with it. Definitely so much easier. Although the big iron works just fine. So if you don't have a mini press, don't sweat it. You can use the big iron. It works great. But this is just easier, more convenient for sure. And it was definitely worth it. So I just kind of go around activating the Mod Podge and it will glue the napkin down onto my book stack. And I do that on the three sides that we added Mod Podge to. And there we go. And then I add some a thin layer of Mod Podge on top just to seal it in and it won't rip if anybody kind of touches it and puts something on it. This keeps it intact. And I just use a little fan brush very lightly and very little. You don't need a whole lot. You use too much, you wet the paper too much, and it'll start wrinkling up. Been there, done that. You learn as you go. And then I just take my little sand and kind of go around the edges and sand off the excess napkin. Give it a clear edge. And then I had, with my Cricut, I had just written out the words Home Sweet Home. And I just kind of picked a font that I liked. I don't even know what it's called, but I liked it. So that's what I went with. And that's what I'm putting on, one word on each book. So Home Sweet Home. And I'm just using my Cricut tool to rub it on. And there we go. And then I just kind of go over it with my finger, making sure it's in. Then I had accidentally ripped a little bit on the butterfly, the very tip of it. So I'm gonna Mod Podge that right back down. You can't even tell anymore. It was just so little, and the Mod Podge just sealed it right back down. And then I go over the words too with the Mod Podge to seal that into place. There we go. Then I'll put a little Mod Podge over it. And then I take my X-Acto knife and I'm just kind of going down in the ridges between the little books. I wanted it to look like separate books, not like it's covered, binded into one. So I'm just kind of cutting it down there. You see, you can kind of tell where I did it. It looks so much better. Then I take just two little pieces of the lavender. I did cut the leaves off with it, thinking I was going to use it, but I end up not using them. I'm just using the lavender picks. And then I'll take some of my twine, I glue a little piece on the bottom, and then I wrap it around 3 times. And I'm doing it, excuse me, not in the middle, but a little bit towards the bottom of the book stack. And I just kind of go around. Every time I get to the bottom, I will use some hot glue just to keep it in place. And then I go around 3 times. There we go. And then I just play around with my picks, kind of way I want to position it. I made a little bow as well. And I decided to cut them much shorter. And then I just add a little dab of hot glue and put it up under the twine. And the little bow that I made, I just took some twine and wrapped it around my 4 fingers. I don't even know how many times, several times. And then I took another piece of twine and just tied it in the middle. And then that made a little bow. And I'm going to glue that on top of the twine underneath the lavender. And I think this is it for this one. Definitely looks so much better than it did before. I really love this. You can leave this up all spring, all summer. It's just so cheerful. Love it. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And here's the finished view. Here I got my little flowers hanging right in front of my fireplace. I think they look so super cute. And then you can also put them in a little bowl as a bowl filler like I did here. And here's the milk jug. And I have this sitting down in my kitchen. I just love it. I think it turned out super cute. Which one do you like the best? Let me know down in the comments section down below. And thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you being here today with me. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to have you. Until next time.